welcome to today's show, guys. We've got an insane one for you today. It's a good one, but I'm telling you, we knew this was coming. This is happening. Right now, in Georgia, electronic voting machines, we have video evidence of the election supervisor over one of the places showing that the machine is being manipulated and votes can be added more than once. Votes can be changed. This is bombshell news. It's blowing up all over X right now, right before the election, and people have already cast their votes. This is a big one. Tulsi Gabbard has even shown in video, talks about how people are voting and then they're getting a printout of their vote and then the votes have been changed. So this is insane. We have video evidence. Trump is gaining in Pennsylvania big time right now as well. Democrats just reported that they have seen a 100% increase in people leaving the Democratic Party in Pennsylvania. Trump is winning at the most precise time that he needs to. And it's gotten so bad that Kamala Harris is now blatantly stealing from Trump his campaign policies and trying to say she will sign into law things that Trump has already signed and passed. This just goes to show you how desperate that they are and how informed you need to be to make sure that you aren't being gaslit or lied to. The Democrats are in panic mode. The polls are showing that Trump will win. And even after Kamala Harris has raised $1 billion to beat Trump, it's not enough, and they are out now asking for more. We have a ton of other breaking news. Just want to say thank you to everybody that is watching. If you're not subscribed, please consider hitting that subscribe button. And if you don't mind, click the thumbs up like button. It really does help to grow the channel. And thank you to all of our members. Remember, the link is in the description to join. We're so grateful for you all. And thank you to everybody that gives a super chat donation. We thank you. We are doing good things with the show, but we've got a crazy one for you today. You're going to want to watch. I'm telling you, this is the news you won't see on mainstream media, but it's happening. Check this out.
In pressing communications, you can tell a lot by what the headlines say, and the headlines out there suggest that the Harris campaign is ferociously leaking. People on the ground are leaking. They are talking outright to reporters about their fears. When I talk to Democrats, they say, oh, we're just a party of bedwetters. This is normal. But this seems more than bedwetting. It seems like internal polling is running against Kamala. Your thoughts?
Well, look, I think the Democrats are panicking. I think there is a battle within the White House. I think Joe Biden and his loyalists resent Joe Biden being thrown overboard. You know, immediately following the Democrat convention, there was a burst of support for Kamala Harris, and it was a sugar high. And a lot of us said at the time, this sugar high is temporary. But I think the issue set strongly favors Donald Trump and strongly favors Republicans. If you look at Kamala Harris's train wreck of an interview with Bret Baier, I mean, it was terrible. She can't talk about her record the last 4 years. I think my favorite moment is when Bret asked her, said, look, you're campaigning on changing, turning the page. You've been the vice president for 3.5 years. What are you turning the page from? And all she could do is essentially yell, I hate Donald Trump. And I think at the end of the day, hatred of Donald Trump is not a winning message. And when the Democrats have a disaster on the border, when they have a disaster on the economy, when foreign policy is a mess, when everything they've touched, they can't defend, I hate Donald Trump, I don't think gets them to victory.
Yeah, hate is not a strategy, nor is hope. But on the point of your race, you have a big race in the state of Texas. I was driving to pick up my daughter from school, and my dad calls me, and he says, Kaylee, you have to go watch this clip of Ted Cruz and his debate as he crushed a Democrat. And he said this should be the playbook for Republicans across the country. I want to play it.
He signed on to something called the Transgender Bill of Rights. Transgender Bill of Rights explicitly, and he co-sponsored it, mandated that boys compete against girls' sports. And just 2 weeks ago, Congressman Allred joined 100 radical Democrats in demanding that our military allow drag shows on military bases, pay for soldiers to have sex changes using taxpayer money, and pay for children to be sterilized and have sex changes on military bases. Again, that's extreme.
That's quite a record for your opponent, Colin Allred.
Look, Colin Allred is radical and extreme. His first 4 years in the House, he voted 100% with Nancy Pelosi. The first 2 years Joe Biden and Kamala Harris were in the White House, Colin Allred voted 100% with Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Colin Allred is Kamala Harris. They both are terrible on the border. They voted in favor of open borders over and over again, and they're both desperately running away from it. Now, that being said, Kayleigh, my race is a very serious fight. Chuck Schumer, who we just saw grimacing next to President Trump at the Al Smith dinner, Chuck Schumer's been explicit. I'm his #1 target in the country, and he is flooding the state of Texas with over $100 million. Every TV ad you see, they are pounding me, and we've had a dozen polls in the last month that show this is a 1-point, a 2-point, or a 3-point race. And so I want to encourage your viewers, please come to tedcruz.org right now. Come to tedcruz.org, give 25, 50, $100 or even more. We are getting massively outspent. In the last 3 days, Colin Allred put an additional $2.7 million on TV. And the only way we can survive against that onslaught of cash is freedom-loving patriots going to tedcruz.org in Texas and all across the country and helping us tell the truth about my record and his radical record.
And I'll tell you this, it's a tight one. Like right now, they're really pushing hard to win the presidency, but remember, the Senate and the House are just as important. This is the updated election forecast right now for Trump against Kamala Harris, still almost a 20% lead. And this is the thing, when you look at all of the battleground swing states at the bottom right here, Arizona, he is now 70 to 30% over Kamala Harris. Pennsylvania, 58 to 42. These are huge. I love it because when it comes to a lot of the people, which I'm going to show you some crazy stuff, y'all. When you see this, you will see that there is not a lot of support right now behind Kamala Harris. Like I said earlier, I'm going to show you the news article. The Kamala Harris, the Democrats have lost 100% increase in the Democratic support in Pennsylvania of people leaving the party. But what's more important is what you're about to see next. Check this out.
In my district, and so Whitfield County, someone posted up that when they went to vote in Whitfield County here in Georgia's 14th district, now remember, we're a swing state and we need everyone to vote in my district. And so they went to vote, and we have the Dominion machines. And you go through and you mark president, you mark, for Congress, that would be me. They marked Donald Trump, and they marked who they were voting for the rest of the way down their ballot on the machine. Then when they're finished, the machine prints their ballot, a paper copy, a printed copy, and each voter has to review that printed copy to make sure that it has selected the candidates that they want to vote for. And so when this voter printed their ballot and they looked, it had changed. It was not Donald Trump. It was not me. And it was not the other ones they had voted for. It had switched. And so they went up to one of the election workers and they said, here's the problem. The machine switched it, and my printed ballot, I did not vote for these people. So they had to start over, and they went through it several times, and it kept on making the same error, kept on switching the votes. And
I'm telling you, this is huge. Remember, Elon Musk called this out as well, that people's votes, and this is being caught. I've got a video that shows you what's actually happening. It's actually happening right now. People are voting. They're printing it out. Things are being changed. Imagine the amount of people who wouldn't pay attention, just grab the paper and hand it in, and they didn't even check to make sure it was their right votes. Let me know your thoughts in the comments.
So this is something we're just starting to look into today, because I just found out about it this morning before I came on your show today. But we will be following up, and I'll be talking to election workers and officials here in the district and making sure that this happens, that these ballots are correct, because that's extremely concerning. It sounds similar to what we heard in 2020, but there's other things that I'm concerned about, Alex. Here in Georgia, we fixed our voting laws, but states that did not fix their voting laws is Pennsylvania, Arizona, Wisconsin, Michigan, extremely important swing states. They never fixed their election laws after 2020. And then you add on to that the amount of concerns that we have about people being sent emails overseas, telling them how to obtain an absentee ballot and telling them how to send it in by email. literally sending it in electronically, how to vote in our elections from overseas. The list goes on and on and on. And then you add on the number of illegal aliens that we are concerned voting in our elections. There's a good reason why people are skeptical. There's a good reason why people don't trust our elections, rightfully so. And everyone I talk to feels like Donald Trump would win by a landslide if they don't steal the election. Because, Alex, you got the poly market. The betting market is going hard for Donald Trump. You've got everyone you talk to from every business sector is saying Trump is going to win. And you want to see, you talk about signs in people's yards. There are Trump signs all over this country in people's yards. Not the ones they stick out on the gas station corners that campaign workers do. People that actually put them in their yards are putting Trump Vance signs in their yards, and that's all over the country. It's not for Kamala Harris or Tim Walz. It's for Donald Trump.
And this is the thing. Just like you said, they've already caught some irregularities, and they're trying to investigate it. But this is blowing up over X. It has not been taken down. It's not been community notes. This is mind-blowing what you're about to see. This is an election official showing you what's actually happening or what could happen behind the scenes with the Dominion voting. Check this out.
I want to go and I think I want to vote for Jason Shaw. They didn't vote that ballot a while ago.
Did you hear that?
There wasn't nothing there. I think we need to vote for him. And I'm going to complete it. Confirm ballot, save, move to next ballot. Okay. So it pulls up the next ballot that needs to be adjudicated.
So you made a vote for someone where someone did not vote?
I did, didn't I?
And you're the election supervisor?
I'm the election supervisor. I am the person that sits and does the adjudication. Yes, sir.
Go back to the Trump and Biden race. And
guys, this is messed up.
Since both are marked, you just count one of them and not count the other one. Can you decide?
Let's see. Yeah,
watch this.
Sure can. I think I want to vote for Biden. Let's let Biden win this one.
So what you put supersedes whatever.
So
But I decided this Al, he don't deserve no votes. Let's not let nobody vote for that. And complete. Okay. Well, here's another one.
That's what we got from our discussion the other day.
I don't think any votes need to vote on this ballot.
Wow.
I think this really needs to be just a blank ballot. Complete.
Just change your votes. Look at this. Watch this, guys.
Misty, can you
Oh, come on.
scan a ballot more than once?
I've just done it.
I'm talking about you just keep scanning them. If you
I just kept scanning that same.
you just keep sending them.
I just scanned the same batches that y'all just voted. I never got any more until that one.
Did y'all hear that? So what they're finding out is with this, there's no barcode, there's no serial number, there's no verification, so they can keep scanning the same ballot that's already been counted, and it keeps counting it again. This is what they've been freaking talking about. This is why we need paper ballots, no voting machines, and we need to make it a national holiday to actually vote, because all this crap, there's too much room for error when it comes to this.
Oh, get it.
And it bothers me because when you see this, and a lot of people say, well, that will never happen. Are you kidding me? What is the rule? If it can happen, then it most likely will happen. And that's what bothers me is whenever they say, well, there's no voter fraud that's actually taking place. Well, if you make it impossible to check, then how would you even know? But listen to where things are at with the polls, because Trump's got a lot of momentum right now. It's looking really good, and the Democrats all across the board are leaking that they are worried big time. Check this out.
The 5-point advantage that Kamala Harris had in our last poll is gone.
I mean, just look at them side by side and you can see it.
Democrats worry there could be a repeat of Donald Trump's 2016 win.
Except bigger.
Now, reality has replaced vibes. As the Angle correctly predicted, polling guru Nate Silver is now warning Democrats that Harris probably faces a tougher environment than Clinton or Biden. Incumbent parties around the world are struggling. Cultural pendulum swinging conservative, inflation and immigration are big deals to voters, you think? And now Silver is forecasting that Trump will win the election. This comes as the latest Fox News national poll has Trump ahead by 2 points. Joining me now, Kevin McCarthy, former Speaker of the House. Mr. Speaker, now she has raised $1 billion. She's burned through most of that, and they're going back, to Wall Street and Silicon Valley for more money. They need more money, they said, to win in these swing states. What is going on here?
They're yelling at their donors. They're yelling at the voters. Why won't they support them? And the other thing you have to notice, too, if you ever want to know which side is losing, look for the articles where there's infighting.
Yes.
The Democrats, now you get in the article, there's all this infighting.
Pennsylvania campaign chief is a disaster.
They're preparing who to blame for this loss. Who to blame? The party themselves, their policies, for one. Her, as Kamala Harris, one thing historically has always told us, she peaks on the day she announces, and then she goes down from there, which we have watched happen. Secondly is, there's a contrast here. They try to do the old thing against Donald Trump. You can't. The American public knows him
now.
They know him and they know his policies.
Yeah.
So you can lie as much as you want. It doesn't play. The other thing, too, is something different. This environment, the one thing he's right, the environment is true. If you watch the Gallup poll a week and a half ago, it doesn't ask you who you're supporting. It asks you who you identify, Republican or Democrat. Historically, Republicans have never won. They won the poll by 3 points, 48-45.
Wow. Let's
you
go.
Can look, and you could correlate when Democrats win the presidency is the difference between those two. But Republicans have never won. They asked the second question, who's best to solve your problems? Republicans beat Democrats on that. And think about the voter registration to where it was 4 years ago. It grew with Republicans, dropped with Democrats. So I don't know why the Democrats are missing. More Hispanics are voting for President Trump, 41. The highest black vote the Republicans got in modern time.
But you're right. They're lashing out at black men. We're going to get to that coming up.
Barack
Black
Obama,
men,
yelling at them.
Yeah, black men. And then Hispanic voters are also saying, what are you doing here? What are you doing? And what are you doing here? They're voting for their own economic interest.
Exactly. They've watched more of the same. When she said, look, if I ran President Trump's campaign, I run one ad between now and the end. I'd use her own words. What would you have done different? I can't think of anything.
Oh, she's a change candidate.
Then just
Kevin.
put more of the same. The only change is President
More of
Trump.
the same.
Change back to where we don't have inflation. We have a secure border. We have a safe world with no more wars. We've got an America where everybody's rising.
You know what people say to me a lot? They say, gosh, remember when interest rates were 2.1%? Why didn't I buy a house? Or why didn't I buy an apartment? Or why did so many people, and you don't want people to think that'll never come again. That's over. Well, you'll never have that dream of owning your own home again. And he's speaking to that now, which I think is very powerful.
Oh, yeah. Economics is the biggest driver. And then next, when you look at a secure border. But the thing about this, they attack his tax plan. You know what you remember on tax plan, all the headlines? People were getting raises. Their employer were giving them more money. She wants to take your money. Somebody else wants to make you have more money. And we didn't have inflation. So when you got more money, it went further.
So the celebrity factor is having, zero.
What?
It never works.
It never works. It never.
Katy Perry for Hillary Clinton. Remember that? And
it never works. People don't care about the celebrities. You know why? Because they don't live in the same reality that we do. They have a lot of money. It doesn't bother them the gas is $4. It bothers the average American. But check this out. Kamala Harris has been caught plagiarizing what Trump has said, his policies again.
Today.
Remember, she said no, he said no tax on tips. She came out with no tax on tips. Watch this, because she's done it again, and now the media is calling her out for saying, can you not come up with something that isn't already Trump's policies? Check this out.
Today, we're taking that next step, as you mentioned, and signing an
This video for Trump and Ivanka is from 2020.
An executive order that directs federal agencies to hire based on skills and knowledge, not just outdated degree requirements.
In fact, it is my pledge that as president, I'm going to do a critical assessment of federal jobs to look at those that don't require a college degrees so we can start talking about good jobs based on the skill and experience of the worker and not random measures of who can do what.
This will allow us to better recognize the talents and competencies of all Americans we hire. You built once the most inclusive economy in this country's history, and you'll build it again. And I'm really excited about your effort to extend this working group and to reform our federal hiring practices as we think about building that inclusive American economy as we transition to greatness. So thank you for today, and it's a pleasure to have you join us.
Thank you very much, honey.
You see, Trump did this and already passed this in 2020, but now she's trying to rebrand it, saying it's coming from her and people aren't buying it. Just like this report here. And a lot of people say, well, is this true? Let me show you this. This Breitbart News, let me show you how many, Breitbart is no joke. They got 2.2 million followers on X. They're a big news. Pennsylvania Democrats see over 100% increase in people leaving the party. People are fed up with the Democratic Party. They're tired of being gaslit. And there's a lot of people that have come over to the Trump side because their people are truly understanding and getting to know him. Check this out. I love what you're about to see.
I actually owe you an apology before we start. I've been very critical about you, how you fight all through the campaigns. I voted for you because I like policy. I didn't know you as a man. And I think when you don't understand what a man fights for, you can get lost, especially with all the noise we're seeing from fake news, et cetera, who created these pictures from you.
There is noise.
So Gutfeld show's over. Cameras are off. We go backstage, and I expected you to be like every politician or anybody I've ever celebrity I've bodyguarded for, and you met my family, and you talked to my daughter. My daughter is 10 years old. Her name is Georgie. You guys talked for 20 minutes. If nobody knew, you could have been her grandfather, and you were talking about her horses and her dreams. And I was sitting there, and I was like, I have been so wrong about this man because I never understood why you fight the way you fight. You're a family man. Nelson Mandela and 80 of his constituents were trying to come to the United States.
Yeah.
The United States government wasn't helping him. No one was helping him. You chartered a 727 plane for their entire trip.
Yeah.
How is somebody, and it's crazy because you can talk about anything, and why is it hard for you to talk about the things you've done? It runs in your family. Your father helped build a synagogue. I mean, why do we not know those things?
It's something that I've never, I love doing it. I don't need praise for it. I don't, we all like a certain level of praise, but I've never, I just like helping people. I help a lot of people, and I enjoy doing it, and I never talk about it. It's nice that you bring it up. I also think it's not a narrative that the press likes talking about, for me.
But I think it would help a lot of the American people who have been misled, I myself included. Now, listen, I'm voting for you now because of the man you are, not just because of the policies, because not every American will get the opportunity that I had to saw who you were backstage. And that's why I have this list. I mean, I have testimonials. We can't go through all of them because
I want to see them.
Now, this was, I had to dig deep.
I like that.
You donated $100,000 to raise dogs. You don't even.
I'm telling you this, a lot of people are coming around, but you just like I showed you with the voting machines, just like I showed you, like there is malicious things happening behind the scenes. And what's even worse is that you even have the courts that just released this, and it makes me so upset because this is 100% election interference. This should be 100% being going after by the DOJ. But whenever it's the dang DOJ doing it, then who's supposed to hold them accountable? Watch this.
President Trump's federal election interference case, the judge rejecting the Trump team's request to delay releasing special counsel Jack Smith's files until after the election, writing, quote, "It is in fact defendants' requested relief that risks undermining the public interest. If the court withheld information that the public otherwise had right to access solely because of the potential political consequences of releasing it, that withholding could itself constitute or appear to be election interference. The court will therefore continue to keep political considerations out of its decision-making process rather than incorporating them as..."
This gets released. We're days out from the dang election, and they even say, you know, this could appear to be election interference. Of course it's election interference. They're doing it right before the election, trying to sway voters' minds with the January 6th. They don't have anything else to do. And it just makes me so upset. I hope Trump wins in a landslide so that their mouths can be shut.
defendant requests. Former federal prosecutor Andy McCarthy is standing by. First to the national correspondent Griff Jenkins. He's live for us today in Washington. Griff, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Trace. And now we know what former President Trump thinks about this. Reacting just moments ago, as you showed there on the ground in Michigan, he called Jack Smith deranged and says that there is no case, calling it election hunting. Now, what got released today was a 4-part appendix, Trace, of what Smith plans to use to back up his arguments, which Judge Chutkan ordered him to do after the Supreme Court ruled Trump had some immunity over official acts as president. And Smith was ordered to refile similar charges, arguing those actions were not official. Now, the timing of this release, just 3 weeks before the election, in a case that won't go to trial until well after, is perhaps as noteworthy as the content of what we see released. This trove of documents is nearly 1,900 pages long and heavily redacted, and it's much of what has already been made public, including social media posts by Trump, transcripts of witnesses interviewed by the January 6th House investigation, and a memo from Trump attorney John Eastman, made public first by Bob Woodward, laying out a legal strategy for Vice President Mike Pence to block or delay the election certification that included a scenario for how Pence would take over the electors' counting process at the Capitol, saying this: the main thing here is Pence should do this without asking for permission. Now, Trace, next in the process, Judge Chutkan will take all this material, including Trump's objections, and determine which criminal charges, including conspiracy and obstruction, can go to trial, if any. And she could then set a trial date that could potentially start before Inauguration Day next January. Meanwhile, we continue coming through these documents. It's quite extensive. Trace?
Yeah. I'm Griff Jenkins, live for us in D.C. Griff, thank you. Let's bring in former Assistant U.S. Attorney Andy McCarthy. He is a Fox News contributor. Andy, it's always great to see you. Are you curious that Judge Chutkan decided that this new information is not relevant to the election?
Well, I'm not curious because I thought from the beginning that this was a political exercise. Now, that doesn't mean that there's not a case in there someplace, but the timing of this strategically has always been a political exercise. I have to chuckle when Judge Chutkan says that, she wouldn't want to let politics or anything like that enter into her decision-making. A judge in a normal case, Trace, would be concerned about the jury pool. Contrary to what Judge Chutkan says, her responsibility is not to the American people writ large to, fill the campaign airwaves with new information. Her responsibility is to give Trump a fair trial and make sure the jury pool is not prejudiced. And any judge who was making that her North Star would be very concerned about releasing this information prior to the election. Jack Smith, if he was a normal prosecutor, if he was serious when he was running around saying that his defendant is a threat to democracy as we know it and could even be a threat to witnesses, the last thing you would do is release all your case if that was what you were really concerned about.
Because the truth here, Andy, is if there's no trial before the election, which there's not going to be, then there's no publicity. But if you release the information, you're going to get publicity.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I thought Griff's report was very helpful. The one place I part company is there's no way this case goes to trial prior to inauguration because however she rules on the obstruction, on the immunity issue, it's still a live immunity issue, and Trump will be able to appeal. So it's going to be months before this case could be tried, if it ever happens.
Yeah, it's fascinating. Andy McCarthy, great to have you on the show as always.
Let me tell you this. The amount of things that they have thrown at Trump to try to get him to lose, to try to get him to just not even be able to run is literally mind-blowing. But guess what? He's still winning. He's still winning in Nate Silver's polls. He's still winning in the Poly Markets polls. But I think, y'all, let me know what you think, because what you're about to see next, I think this could be one of the very things that just completely obliterates the Kamala Harris campaign and literally makes her lose the race. Check this out.
Kamala Harris is having to deal with protesters at some of her, and if you watch some of these rallies, you start to think maybe the wheels are starting to come off just based on what she's saying. Watch this.
We remember Donald Trump hand-selected 3 members of the United States Supreme Court. with the intention that they would undo the protections of Roe v. Wade, and they did as he intended. Oh, you guys are at the wrong rally.
They're mocking.
No, I think you meant to go to the smaller one down the street.
Wow, that's where you see who she really is in that moment. So somebody said Jesus is Lord. Obviously, these were pro-life protesters who were at her rally, and her response was, Jesus isn't here. You need to go to that other rally where they like Jesus. Unbelievable. And by the way, you guys, this is on the heels of this past week, or last week, a pro-life protester who back in 2020, an African-American woman who was protesting, and she was blocking the entrance, but she had had a traumatic abortion when she was 15. So she was a pro-lifer. She blocked an entrance in 2020 while BLM was burning down cities. She blocked an entrance, and now she's facing 3 years in jail. She has a child, a husband.
Wow.
Pro-lifers definitely know who is on their side and who is going to attack them. And you saw right there.
And Harris has no idea. Those very well may have been regular Democrat voters at a Harris rally. Michigan has a lot of...
No, that was La Crosse, Wisconsin. That was La Crosse, Wisconsin, yeah.
Just like in Michigan, in Wisconsin, you have a lot of pro-life Democrats. And that's the needle that they have to thread. And she obviously is not prepared to do that.
You can't think of a Democratic candidate, I don't think in our history, Barack Obama or Joe Biden included, no Democrat would respond in that moment the way that she responded. 100%. You have to understand the gravity of that response. I don't know what she saw. I don't see the camera from the other angle. I don't know what she internalized. I don't know what she heard. I don't know if she heard Jesus is Lord. But that's what was said. And for you to respond, you're at the wrong rally, I don't care if all she thought was they were pro-life, to your point, Charlie. That is, in our past, in the history of America, a campaign-killing response.
Yes.
Now, even if she doesn't mean it, that is political buffoonery. No one would tell that constituency, yelling in the name of Jesus, you're at the wrong rally. The deal, the election would be over. Over. And it should be over. This morning, that is a killer.
I absolutely love the transparency of it, though. In that moment, that was one of her most authentic moments. Honestly, that's who she is. She is that person that you just saw there. By the way, this yelling thing is becoming a pattern. So she was at Grand Rapids at a rally there, and here's what happened.
One who suggests we should terminate the Constitution of the United States should never again have the privilege of standing behind the seal of the President of the United States.
Why are you
Never
yelling?
again. Never again. Never again.
She's mad. She's losing.
I don't mean to keep making every single clip like the deepest insight into everyone's psyche, but once again, I want to say this. We really, as a people, need to begin to understand the psychological tactic of projection. This is everything.
Yes.
This is projection, okay? This is a party who's been in power, who's undermined the United States Constitution, and for that matter, openly showed tension and aggression towards the United States Constitution. To project anger at this moment, like, never again about the Constitution. Please, the Constitution is under threat from one particular ideology.
100%. By the way...
And this is the big thing, too. A lot of people, and this is what I love, what you're about to see next. A lot of people are like, I don't like Donald Trump. Okay, he's to this, he's to that. Great. Well, you know what? Who is running with him? The Dream Team. You got Tulsi Gabbard, RFK Jr. Well, guess what? They are very different. They come from the Democratic Party. Listen to this. This is the most logical, to me, statement you could make of why to vote for Donald Trump. Check this out. Oh, come on, y'all.
I told my buddy, he said, I'll never vote for Donald Trump. I can't stand the guy. And I said, do you like RFK Jr.? And he goes, yeah, I love him. And I said, RFK Jr. says that if Donald Trump wins, he wins. And he goes, yeah, I know. I'm like, okay, so here's the deal. You tell me you hate Donald Trump. I say, okay, I understand. But RFK Jr., Tulsi Gabbard, Elon Musk, come on. This is a dream administration for anybody who has truly believed in America, who has believed that we shouldn't be involved in these foreign wars, who believes that we need to clean our food up and have true health in this country, a return to health, making America healthy again. You can rag on Trump all you want, but to vote for Kamala Harris, what's her party bringing you? Dick Cheney and Liz Cheney? Come on. I know people going back to the 2000s who hated the Bush administration. They were critical of the Obama administration, and now they're saying Trump is the worst, but Trump has surrounded himself by really good people today.
Yes.
So please, if you don't like Donald Trump, totally get it. The man's a little nasty sometimes, posts some mean tweets, bad character, right? RFK Jr., Tulsi Gabbard, take it or leave it.
Because that's the thing. Like, when have you ever seen people come from the other side like they have to do what? To really push that America needs change. To really push what? That we need reform. Because right now, you're not getting that with the Democratic Party. They just want to continue what they've been doing. And when you hear from people who are like, look, a lot of people are switching sides, there's a reason. Check this out. Oh, sorry.
Welcome very much to both of you. Kellyanne, I'll start with you. You know, going back to that Brett Baer interview, we've referred to it. We'll keep on referring to it. I mean, from day one, they ripped up 94 Trump executive orders to close the border, including remain in Mexico. That's what they did on day one. And then they had this phony pro-citizenship bill that would have kept the borders open, but even a bunch of Democrats were opposed to it because it was too much. Now, my generic point is she does not want to talk seriously about policy. All she does want to attack vitriolically Donald Trump. So I want to get both of you to talk about that because I think it's a losing strategy. Kellyanne, what you think?
It's a losing strategy, Larry, but what else can she do? She sounds like an MSNBC segment at all times now. We have such thick shock absorbers when it comes to attacking Donald Trump. Who has been more insulted, investigated, indicted, convicted, impeached, castigated, denigrated? And this is why also it was so critical that he win the primary. We had a primary on the Republican side. They didn't have one on the Democratic side. Nope. Why was it important? Because people were saying, look what we did with China and the border and the economy. But those were all Trump accomplishments. So why go for a facsimile when you can get the real thing? And now that you have the real thing, I think Kamala Harris does not sound credible or compelling when she tries to go right at the guy who had a success at 4 years on the border, on the economy, on energy independence and the rest. Look, I think she's playing it all wrong. If I were Kamala Harris, I would have stuck with Biden-Harris. I would have stuck with the policies and said, listen, I haven't had my hand on the wheel. I've been in the room for the big stuff. Give me a chance. And all that people would have seen was different was not her position on fracking or middle-class tax cuts or Trump's border wall, which she hasn't paid advertising. They would have said she's different. And she could have cashed in on that, I think, at least enough. Oh, boy, where's the joy? This person said that she's bringing back joy to politics. They look miserable on the daily. Even when she's on a comedy show, there's a miserableness.
You know,
last point, when women are in positions of power, no, it's true, but Trump's got great joy on the job, Larry and Newt. He's out there every day mixing up with the folks. He's in the Hispanic town hall. He's in the Bronx.
Trump looks like a winner, Kellyanne.
He's in Coachella.
Trump.
He looks like a winner, and he wants you to.
He looks like a winner,
he's
and
a
he
metaphor
sounds
for America.
like a winner. I don't know if he's a winner. You know,
they're
that's
metaphors for America.
Yes. But you can look at him. I was saying this at the beginning of the show, Newt. You can look at Trump. Look, he was in the barber shop in the Bronx yesterday. Then he was on the Al Smith last night, and some of the jokes were terrific, some of them were not terrific. He even says he didn't like some of the jokes, but he was relaxed. He looked like a winner. He looked like a winner on Fox and Friends. To Kellyanne's point, Newt, Kamala Harris looked all crunched up and then got very overexcited, waving her arms. She lost the even keel temperament that you're supposed to have to be a president. And I think it's because either she's not telling the truth, or she doesn't want to do it, or all she wants to do is attack, unstable and unhinged. That's what she calls Trump. As Kellyanne says, they've called Trump every name in the book for the last 3 years, actually longer than that, but the last 3 years. They've busted him. They've weaponized against him with lawfare. And look where he is. He's standing at the head of the polls now. So I'm just saying, it's not going to work. I don't think the strategy works, or am I wrong? Am I missing something with 2.5 weeks?
Well, as long as Trump stays focused on drawing the contrast both in policy and performance, she's going to lose. I'm going to be curious to get Kellyanne's reaction, because I'm going to go out on a limb here. I think she's not very competent. But given that, she's probably playing a losing hand about as reasonably as you can play it. She can't talk about policy, because if she's clear, either her base will rebel or the country will repudiate her. She can't talk about performance, because the contrast between Biden, Harris, and Trump is so unbelievably bad, she can't do it. So she has one choice: attack Trump, which also doesn't work, partially because of what Kellyanne said, which is, it's a little bit like, I thought Mike Johnson, the speaker, was great on Sunday. One of the reporters at the Current Fad was saying, well, Trump didn't release his medical records, and don't you want to know what his cholesterol is? And Johnson said, this guy got shot and stood back up and raised his fist in the air and said, fight, and you want me to worry about his health? So the problem is, Trump has a great record, a great proposal, a strong personality. She has a lousy record, a lousy proposal, and an incompetent personality. That's a pretty big mismatch.
Let me, and I'll say this too, like right now, think about it. Remember, it's the Biden-Harris administration. They started all this. This was just posted today. Listen to the latest news coming from the Biden-Harris administration. New York Post says Biden said he wouldn't close the border because Mexico doesn't want that. That's what the speaker said. Like, a House Speaker talked to President Biden, asked him to say, restore the remain in Mexico policy that former Trump had, and this was Biden's response. This is what we're dealing with. They're doing it intentionally. They wanted people to come over. They wanted them to come into the country, but now they have blood on their hands because so many criminals have come over, and they have utterly destroyed families in ways that they'll never be the same. They need to be held accountable for that. And I'll tell you this, a lot of this stuff we wouldn't be doing if we didn't have free speech coming from what you're about to see right here. Check this out. Oh, sorry.
Northeast Philadelphia. And I just want to say thank you for all you've been doing, your contributions. And my question is, did you expect the impact that buying X would have on the world and the United States, free speech, even into the America PAC movement?
Well, I mean, the reason I didn't realize it would have as big of an impact as it has come to have. But the reason I felt that it was important to acquire Twitter was because I could feel the walls closing in.
Right here.
It was outrageous that they suspended the account of a sitting president. I mean, that's insane.
100%.
And I think it was only a matter of time before they suspended my account, frankly. And for sure, given the stuff I've said lately, they would have suspended me 6 ways to Sunday. I mean, really, Twitter and pretty much all the social media companies and Google and everyone are controlled by far-left activists.
Yes.
That's the truth of it. And so then how do you know what's real when it's all filtered through a far-left San Francisco, Berkeley lens? They just manipulate the truth constantly. You can't even find the truth if you Google it, because Google's, put it on page 6.
Right there.
I mean, I don't want to pick on Google too much. I mean, I have a lot of friends there, but, you know, it's very easy to tweak the results because, you know, like the joke goes like, what's the best place to hide a dead body? Well, second place at Google search results because nobody ever goes there. So you don't really have to, in order to, you know, hide information, you don't have to delete it. You just move it to the second page. And it's just, people don't go there. My Google too. Yeah, that'd be tough. That's a tricky one. But hey, at least there's one place where you can find out what's actually going on, what's real, and that's the X platform.
I love it, y'all. I mean, when this guy spent $44 billion, went through, committed to buying it, they tried to raise the price on him. He fought them back. It just makes me happy because our world, like that's as big as I'm saying it. Our world is completely different because of that platform. Tell me I'm wrong. I'm telling you. Because if not, there would be no platform where you could actually speak and have full freedom of speech without being censored. And right now, Kamala Harris and Trump are in Pennsylvania. They're trying to win, but just like I showed you earlier, they are losing big time. Pennsylvania, Democrats see over 100% increase in people leaving the party. And what are they trying to do? They're trying to get it back, but it's not working. Check this out.
We are 17 days from an election, and both Trump and Harris have their sights set on the battlegrounds. They're both in Michigan today, as you saw, and they have been laser focused on Pennsylvania, and for good reason. Trump is picking up major steam in the state. In fact, in Northampton County, a key region won by Joe Biden in 2020, lawmakers are saying there's a wait list for Trump signs.
There's a great demand for at least our top of the ticket candidate, Donald Trump, that there's even locally here what is called Trump stores. So we have distributed everything we get. There's a waiting list for people to get Trump signs.
Now, things are looking a little more bleak for Kamala. Political reports that top Democrats in Pennsylvania are worried Vice President Kamala Harris's operation is being poorly run in the nation's biggest battleground state.
Yes.
Democrat leaders are pointing fingers at Kamala's Pennsylvania campaign manager, who they say has been AWOL. Where is she? What's more, worrisome for the left is Pennsylvania Democrats who argue that Harris's team has not done enough to turn out voters of color. Latino leaders are grumbling too. Political reports, they're telling the Harris campaign that they aren't doing enough to engage Latino voters, and they feel men still aren't on board with Harris. Now, in the town of Cherrill, Pennsylvania, residents are struggling as factories close, and Haitian migrants continue to come into their community in huge numbers.
The Corning Glass closure, losing 300 jobs. Quality Pasta just lost 100 jobs too. That's a big strain on not only the people in town, but the families and the economy.
They're busing so many people around, just dropping them off, and I mean, our town is being overrun.
But you look at their vans, they drive around in vans. Every one of them got a fender bender. So my insurance has gone up because of that. You know, my insurance went from $129 to $302.
Wow.
A new Fox poll shows that around the country, 2/3 of voters are in support of mass deportations. Even nearly half of Democrats support them. That is unbelievable. Everyone knows Kamala could never, would never deliver on that.
No.
Things are getting so bad that even down-ballot Democrats are distancing themselves from Kamala. They don't want to be around her.
No.
Senator Bob Casey, who's in a big race, was a no-show at Kamala's Pennsylvania rally this week. And now the senator has even been caught running this pro-Trump ad.
He sided with Trump to end NAFTA and put tariffs on China to stop them from cheating. So in this house, we agree. It's Bob Casey who's doing right by Pennsylvania.
Hold up. God, jeez. We got a Democrat who is using a pro-Trump ad to try to win Pennsylvania. Guys, I'm telling you, if this doesn't tell you where the state of the race is at, I don't know what is. I have never seen this before. Never seen a Democrat use a pro-Trump ad. Have y'all? Let me know in the chat. I love this stuff. I mean, We're seeing a lot of stuff we've never seen before, but dang, I ain't never thought I would see this.
I'm Bob Casey, and I definitely approve this message.
He definitely, guys.
He definitely approves, and he's a Democrat. But what Casey doesn't realize is that the problem isn't just how unpopular Kamala is, it's Democrats' radical policies that are turning voters away.
We are a country of immigrants. We're also a country of laws. And under Biden, Harris, and Casey, I mean, this is another career politician, election year epiphany from Punxsutawney Bob, who comes up every 6 months before every election. 116,000 people died last year from fentanyl. On your watch, right? On your watch. That's 2 Vietnams. 8 years of war in Vietnam, 58,000. So the failure and those weakness, that the fact that you and Biden and Harris aren't standing up and taking accountability is a true disgrace.
Dave McCormick, who you just saw there, is a candidate for Senate in Pennsylvania. He joins me now. He's the Republican nominee. Dave, I just about dropped my phone this morning when I saw that your opponent, Bob Casey, a Democrat, puts out an ad that says Casey supports Trump's trade order. Tammy Baldwin, also in Wisconsin, is touting Trump's policies. I thought he was such a dictator, but yet these Democrats have him in ads. But I'm curious to know from you, what is the internal polling showing for the Democrat to not go to Kamala's rally but put out a Trump ad?
Well, listen, what's happening here is I think Democrats are recognizing that at least in Pennsylvania, Joe Biden would have been a better candidate than Kamala Harris.
I think so, too.
He was Scranton Joe. He had these relationships with the unions and key Democrats. Kamala Harris is a San Francisco liberal that is completely out of touch with Pennsylvania. Ban fracking, defund the police, mandatory buybacks of guns. The list goes on, in her own words. And President Trump is gaining real momentum here in our polling. He's in the lead and gaining. And in our polling, I'm tied and gaining. And that's because people are recognizing that this is a race between strength and weakness and common sense policies in this radical liberal agenda that career politician, weak Bob Casey has supported every step of the way. And that's why we're going to win in Pennsylvania, because that choice is becoming more and more clear.
So you're tied and gaining in your polling. And Bob Casey, if he were here, I know he would tell our viewers, look, I'm a Kamala Harris supporter. I just agree with Trump on one policy. Putting that aside, I went on pa.gov today. I pulled out the Excel spreadsheet they have of ballot tracking. And I didn't quite know what to make of this. They say that Democrats have returned their ballots. 63% of ballots returned have been Democrats. And Republican share is only 26.8%. Now, we know Democrats tend to vote early. Republicans tend to vote on Election Day. But what do you make of those numbers? Should they be higher for Republicans?
Well, two things are happening. First of all, the voter registration in Pennsylvania has moved to Republicans in huge ways. We have 700,000. We've closed the gap by 700,000 between Democrats and Republicans. It was 1 million more registered Democrats when Trump won in 2016. So that's going great guns. And on mail-in ballot, the gap has closed dramatically. All signs are that people are seeking change.
Yes.
And this is an election about change, and I'm a change candidate against Bob Casey, who's the status quo. And all the numbers support that. I think that's why you're seeing this frantic, panicky behavior on the part of Senator Casey. President Trump told me the other day he couldn't recognize Senator Casey if he was in a lineup. And that's because it's all manufactured. And I think this shows panic. Bob Casey said the other day on CNN that he couldn't think of a single thing he disagreed with Kamala Harris on. And that's the problem. That radical liberal agenda, he'll be a 100% rubber stamp vote that's taking our country in the wrong direction. And in my case, I'm a 7th generation Pennsylvanian, a combat vet, a West Point graduate, a business guy, a political outsider. That's what Pennsylvanians are looking for right now is change.
Yeah, so Casey can't name how he's different than Kamala, and Kamala can't name how she's different than Biden. See that through line? Dave McCormick, you're a great candidate. Great to speak with you.
Let me tell you this. We've got to be careful, everybody, because I see these things come up, and I want to share them with y'all because a lot of people don't know this. But this is who's building out the next generation of essentially people that go to college. How do they believe? What are their morals? What are their things like that? So if you haven't seen this, remember the experts. Well, guess what? This is a chart that shows you out of the people that teach colleges, what percentage of them identify as Democrat, which percentage of them identify as Republican. Look at the overwhelming monopoly of Democrats that are teachers, college professors. When you send your kid to school, whenever kids go to school, they are overwhelmingly being taught by Democrats. Do you not think that that they will inject their thoughts, their feelings, their opinions in the entire time that your kid's there? I've seen plenty of videos where Republican kids or conservative kids have been, demonized, or they've been, set apart because of what they say or believe. But this is the truth. This is the facts in almost every single, whether it's psychology, history, philosophy, biology. Engineering is the only one where it's almost half and half. But this is what we got to be careful. It's not just about taking the country back. It's about taking our colleges back. I'm not saying for there to be a majority of Republicans. What I'm saying is that there be a half and half. Half Democrat, half Republican. Make sure that there is fairness in the college, because I'm telling you, this is why you got so many dang kids that believe the way that they do. It's because of the teachers. This is who they're getting taught by. So this is stuff that we have to take our country back. We have to take our colleges back. We have to take our schools back. Parents should have they should be always have the final say when it comes to their kids, not the schools. And we just got a lot of things that need to change. America first. Love everybody. Thank you so much for watching today. If you're not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. And if you don't mind, click the thumbs up like button. Hope you enjoyed today's show. We showed you a lot of breaking news. And just want to say we appreciate everybody that is a member of the channel. Appreciate everybody that gives a super chat to the donation to the channel. We are so grateful for you all. Remember, we are here to serve you. I'm so happy to be here with y'all. And just to let y'all know, you haven't seen John in a long time. My brother, he's been really busy with his business, but today is his birthday. So we're going to go throw him a party, and have a good time. But I'm going to go do that. Hope y'all have a wonderful day. Take care. Love you all, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.